Hello. So for my intersectionality analysis, I have decided to analyze depictions of gender, classes, and race within the show Gossip Girl. Gossip Girl depicts the lives of extremely affluent Upper East Siders in New York City and the drama that surrounds them. They are all kind of tied and connected under this gossip blog called Gossip Girl that everyone in Manhattan reads, and they are often on the front pages of it. So I watched this show religiously in high school, and taking this class has made me realize the stereotypical roles that many of the Gossip Girl characters play. The main themes I'll be discussing are race, because most of the characters are white. It's not diverse at all. Class, there are many stereotypical depictions of class in Gossip Girl, and also a lot of irony, and gender. There are implications about gender, stereotypes, and contradicting gender roles. So first I'll talk about class. So the class roles are very evident on Gossip Girl from the beginning. When I read the article, Rich Bitch, regarding the Real Housewives, it reminded me of the female characters in Gossip Girl. Irony is majorly present in Gossip Girl. There is drama and scheming in every episode between this group of friends. They constantly stab each other in the back and call each other best friends. They strive to further their own social status by going to galas, parties, and social groups. Yet they do extremely scandalous things and are the opposite of classy at all of these events. Often they cause a scene and end up in the headlines again. The parents in the show are completely absent in their children's lives. All of the teenagers in the show do not have rules. They have unlimited money, and they have staff that take care of them, clean everything, and make food for them. Gossip Girl really defies every image of the poised, high society and well-mannered stereotype that people perceive the upper class to have. This relates a lot to the Rich Bitch article by Michael J. Lee and Lee Moskowitz, because the Real Housewives of New York City are very similar to the Upper East Side women. Both women admire and value being a New York socialite, dating rich and powerful men, attending all the classiest social events, and wearing the most expensive designer clothes. In the Rich Bitch article, it states, "The Real Housewives, whose day-to-day lives are comprised of gala events, high-profile charity auctions, see-and-be-seen functions, and to a far lesser extent, motherhood and familial bonds." In Gossip Girl, the mothers are completely absent. They're either traveling or shopping or at a social function. They also have their own set of drama, and they're all over Gossip Girl too. The Rich Bitch article also states that these wealthy characters violate both consistently and flagrantly the performative conventions of wealth and femininity. In Gossip Girl, the women are constantly at war with each other and have issues with each other. They are not friends. They gossip about each other, start rumors, and expose secrets about these people that are supposed to be their best friends. So just completely ironic. This shows the irony that these affluent women are supposed to be classy best friends, yet all they ever do is show us how much they hate and resent each other. And I will show a few clips of the two main characters, Serena and Blair, kind of at war like usual, and I'll also show a clip of Serena's mother kind of giving her these unrealistic expectations.
How important it was for you and Grandma, and you said that if I did it, I could be myself. You don't really want that, do you?
Well, it's not entirely true.
All you care about when people look at me is what they think of you. How am I supposed to accept myself if my own mother doesn't accept me?
Oh, honey, of course I accept you.
No. No, you don't. But let me tell you something. If I ever do have those two children, I would know.
By myself. And I'll come up with some story as to why you didn't return. Like you tripped and fell in the fountain.
Seriously, no one's gonna believe that.
Believe that?
So after showing you that clip of Blair and Serena fighting. They fight almost every episode and call each other cruel names. Like, I would never call my friends a slut. Like, and in an article that I was researching by a professor named Rachel Dabrowski called The Culture of Mean, Gender, Race, and Mediated Images of Girls Bullying, she presents this idea of female bullying and aggression in both Gossip Girl and the movie Mean Girls. She says bullying is epidemic, distinctive, and destructive, and girls use backbiting, exclusion, rumors, name-calling, and manipulation to inflict psychological pain on targeted victims. And this is exactly what Blair and Serena do to each other, so it just kind of represents that they're not really friends. And also these shows normalize bullying, and she also says that in popular culture, the mean girl is constructed as a popular girl who protects and cultivates the power associated with her elite status in cruel ways. And that's exactly what Blair does. She's the queen bee of the school Constance, and because Serena is her best friend, they're constantly kind of in this war for the power. And she also makes a good point that this queen bee, or the mean girls, are usually popular and white and rich. So next I'll be discussing the gender roles in Gossip Girl. They are quite evident from the beginning. The main male characters, which are Chuck Bass, Dan Humphrey, and Nate Archibald, are extremely focused on making money, obtaining power, and furthering their careers to become successful. Whereas the two main female lead characters, Blair Waldorf and Serena Vanderwoodson, are shown using their money to further their social status and focus on their romantic lives with different men. This TV show depicts women having money without working hard and focused on men, which aligns similarly with the Real Housewives show. The women on this show reinforce the sexist ideas of only making decisions based on pleasing the men in their lives. It also reinforces the sexist ideas that only men can make successful careers for themselves. Serena and Blair both have the resources, the money, and the connections to go to the best colleges and to become successful, yet they are way too caught up on men and romance in their lives to make success an option. So in one of my research articles that I chose by Sarah Truly, she points out in her article, it's called Gossip Girl, The Male Gaze and the Real World. The show is entirely based on the concept of the male gaze, and this male gaze is perpetuated throughout the entirety of each episode in a way that is sickening once it is spotted. Even the plotline, although narrated in a female's voice, is actually narrated by the male's point of view. So the narrator in the show is a woman, Reese Witherspoon. She narrates the whole show. Yet she is Gossip Girl, but the real Gossip Girl, who's behind the scenes making this blog and everything, is actually Dan Humphrey. Sorry for the spoiler, but basically it's from his perspective and his point of view the entire show through this thing that she calls the male gaze. And she says that the male's gaze is pervasive, especially the reality of the male gaze in pop culture. It's an even more important phenomenon that many realizes as an increasing number of victims of sexual assaults perpetrated in the Hollywood apparatus. So she's basically kind of talking about how this male gaze is also reinforced in our own lives, and especially in Hollywood, where victims of sexual assault have recently come forward, like the Me Too movement, and kind of just how we're like trapped in this kind of male gaze and male's world. So in the first episode of Gossip Girl, it even has one of the main characters, Chuck Bass, who, although he goes through this big character development throughout the whole show, the first episode, he sexually assaults one of the female characters named Jenny. And Gossip Girl never really addresses how wrong this situation is, and they really brushed off the whole sexual assault, which really makes me angry. The cinematography in Gossip Girl also sexualizes the female characters' bodies all the time, and the male characters make many sexually demeaning comments throughout the show, and it never really addresses the outright wrongness of these acts. And now I will show a few clips that kind of show what I'm talking about. I would also like to point out that the show's title is called Gossip Girl, and that kind of implies that women are known as gossipers and catty, whereas the men in this show are just as gossipy and catty as the women. So that kind of also gives off this gender stereotype of women. The last point I wanted to speak about is the depiction of race in Gossip Girl. I think that if Gossip Girl premiered today, there would be a lot more criticism because of its huge lack of diversity and also other flaws. All of the lead characters in Gossip Girl are white. The only black representation is one of Blair's sidekicks named Penelope. Penelope has no story, no background, and no other personality really besides being Blair's sidekick. And while this is disconcerting, it is hardly different than most media compared to it. In an interview with Vulture, Josh Safran, which is the executive producer of Gossip Girl, admits that the lack of diversity is one of his few regrets about the show. He said, "When I look back on Gossip Girl, the only things I regret were not as much representation for people of color and gay storylines," which there is a lack of both. So overall, I think I covered the analyzation of gender, class, and race within Gossip Girl, and it is important for people to kind of realize these different themes in media today, because we have made a lot of progress, but we're still not there. Thank you.